Pep Guardiola. We wanted to discuss this because he's come up in the podcast. We must have discussed this 3 or 4 times. His legacy is obviously cemented in a sense that everybody will recognise his Barcelona team as one of the greatest sides to have ever played football. It's not even a dispute. We will all agree on that. But since then, his legacy, would you say it's been tarnished by what's happened at Bayern and Man City? Or would you say, because I don't think he's enhanced it, but would you say he has tarnished his legacy by not doing what he's supposed to do?
I definitely wouldn't say or use the word tarnished. I think that's a little bit harsh. But you mentioned there that Barcelona side that he had, one of the greatest sides of all time, without question. And then obviously he set a standard there, which it was unlikely that he would achieve that standard again, right? Because
it's an impossible standard.
Yeah, but the clubs that have employed him since, Bayern Munich and Man City, have employed him on the basis that he is to win them the Champions League. That's like been the main objective, and he hasn't tarnished the reputation because at Bayern Munich he won trophies. I know they do it all the time, but he won the league over and over and over. He won the German Cup over and over. When he came to Man City, they were 3rd or 4th the year that Leicester won the league, and he got them back to win the league. I think it's 2 or 3 leagues he's won, but he set numerous records in that time. But we all know, especially with Man City, they brought him in to win the Champions League because at Manchester City, not mentioning points records, he hasn't done anything really more than what Manuel Pellegrini did, or Roberto Mancini did. And Manuel Pellegrini also got them to Manuel Pellegrini got them to a Champions League semi-final, which Guardiola hasn't managed to do. So, look, his resume will never be questioned, Pep Guardiola's, and he deserves for it never to be questioned. Similar to kind of Mourinho, even though Mourinho sort of fizzled out a bit sooner. None of their resumes will ever be questioned, and neither should they. But you guys know how mad I was after the Lyon game. I think I sent about 55 to 100 messages in the WhatsApp about Guardiola. And I said that I'm a Manchester United fan, and I was tamping for City fans. Because I said, if you're a City fan, you'd be pulling your hair out because you get the most favourable tie left in the competition of the Champions League, the one trophy that they want to win. And for the first time since the turn of the year, he uses a formation that he hasn't used since January. And I made the point, I don't want to go too in-depth with it, but he just, for some reason, Pep, he likes to overthink his team selections in the big moments. And once again, it's a massive opportunity missed, and him playing that 3 at the back. And I don't think it does him any favours, is what I'll say. And I don't know where he really goes from here, Man City now, because how long is he going to stay? He's got to win that Champions League, because I could see him leaving in the next year or two, moving on to a new challenge.
Well, look, I mean, what I would say, you're not being unfair, and you're right in what you're saying. I think we've known each other a while, the three of us, and I think for as long as we've known each other, James, I think you'd admit that you've been possibly at times overly and unfairly critical of Guardiola, and perhaps at times I've been unwarranting defence of Guardiola. But I think that, yes, in this case, of course, they got it wrong. Things went wrong. Do I think his reputation is tarnished? Of course not. I think that he is a terrific coach. And yes, he had Messi at Barcelona, but to make them play the way they did, and to make Bayern Munich play the way they did, and certainly City play the way they did, is really impressive. And I think only Guardiola can do that in world football. What I would say is, if we're looking at the Champions League from a City perspective, Guardiola going out to Lyon is a sackable offence. It is. And if they were to get rid of him, I don't think anyone would blame them. The problem is they can't get anyone as good as him, realistically. They might get people who could do a different job and maybe get some more success, but realistically, they're not hiring anyone that's better quality. Guardiola's the best in the world, probably, on merit. I think what the problem is with City, year on year in the Champions League, we can talk about 3 at the back. Did it work? Over 2 legs, it probably would have worked. They did lose their assistant coach this year, who was, very important to them. I'm not making excuses. That is an extenuating circumstance. They didn't have their key striker, of course. I'm not making excuses. These are just factors. The problem at Man City is, and we've seen this at PSG, they are trying to buy success. Now, you can buy the players by all means, but what you can't buy is that kind of later tournament experience. The big players who've been on the scene for years, playing at the big clubs on the biggest stage, knowing how to handle those games. You can buy people like Bernardo Silva in for all the big money, and he has been good. Mahrez, again, he's been great. De Bruyne, great. But these players haven't really played at the business end of the tournaments, against the big teams and the big ties. And that will come with experience. PSG have only made their first final this year after, 15 years of solid grinding with signings and things like that.
Mm.
It'll come. I have no doubt. But Guardiola has brought his style of football to Man City. But he will be a failure at Man City just based on his brief. They brought him in, like you said, James, rightfully so. They wanted to win the Champions League. Who can you bring in? The best coach in the world. At the moment, they've spent nearly £500 million on signings and lots of money in defenders, and they can't defend. So do they need to look at a coach who can bring a more defensive element, like Jose Mourinho? Personally, it wouldn't be my choice. But if they were to make that decision, like you say, James, very rightly, I don't think anyone could blame them.